Welcome to People Deserve to Live, the podcast that shines a light on human rights stories from around the globe. I'm your host, Sarah.
And I'm Sam. Today, we're turning our attention to a crisis that has tragically faded from the headlines, but continues to deepen every day: the humanitarian situation in Afghanistan.
It's been several years since the Taliban regained control in August 2021, and the reality for millions of Afghans is a daily struggle for survival, dignity, and basic human rights.
Exactly, Sarah. We're going to delve into the severe restrictions on rights, the devastating economic collapse, and the profound impact this has had, especially on women and minorities.
Let's start with the fundamental framework of the country. Almost immediately after taking power, the de facto authorities began dismantling the legal and institutional structures that were in place to protect human rights.
That's right. The Constitution was suspended, the Human Rights Commission was dissolved, and laws protecting women were abolished. It created a vacuum where there's no longer any formal recourse for justice for ordinary citizens. It's a complete erasure of 2 decades of progress in building a rights-respecting state.
And this extends to freedom of expression. Journalists, activists, and artists face constant threats. Over half of all media outlets have been shut down, and any form of dissent is met with severe consequences, including arbitrary arrests, torture, and public humiliation. The space for civil society has all but vanished.
The United Nations Assistance Mission in Afghanistan, or UNAMA, has documented hundreds of cases of extrajudicial killings, enforced disappearances, and the brutal suppression of peaceful protests. It's a climate of fear designed to ensure total control and silence any opposition.
This climate of fear is reinforced by the reintroduction of public punishments. Executions and floggings are carried out in stadiums in front of crowds, sending a brutal and unmistakable message to the population about the cost of defiance.
And it's a very calculated system. There's a systematic targeting of former government officials, soldiers, and intellectuals who might form a basis for future opposition. Despite initial promises of amnesty, revenge killings and detentions have been widespread, ensuring that any organized resistance is crushed before it can even begin.
And perhaps the most visible and devastating aspect of this control is the systematic oppression of women and girls. It's a level of gender-based discrimination that is unparalleled in the world today, what many experts are calling a gender apartheid.
The decrees have been relentless and suffocating. Women are banned from most forms of employment, particularly in NGOs and the public sector. They are barred from secondary and university education, a decision that effectively sentences an entire generation of girls to a future without knowledge or opportunity.
Their very presence in public is restricted. They can't visit parks, gyms, or public bathhouses. Their freedom of movement is severely curtailed, as they can't travel long distances without a male guardian, and they are ordered to cover their faces and bodies completely when they do leave their homes.
These aren't just rules. They are the architecture of a system designed to erase half the population from public life. Think about the impact. Generations of educated women, doctors, lawyers, teachers, entrepreneurs are now confined to their homes. The psychological toll, the surge in depression and suicide among women is a silent epidemic.
It's a national tragedy with global implications, and alongside this gender-based persecution, we're seeing increased and targeted violence against ethnic and religious minorities.
Yes, communities like the Hazaras, who are predominantly Shia Muslims and have a long history of being persecuted, are facing renewed and horrifying attacks. Bombings at schools, mosques, and community centers have created a constant state of terror, and there is little to no protection offered by the authorities. In many cases, the authorities are implicated in the persecution themselves.
This entire social collapse is happening against a backdrop of complete economic ruin. When the previous government fell, international assistance, which funded about 75% of all public spending, was abruptly cut off.
And on top of that, over $9 billion in national assets held abroad were frozen, and broad international sanctions were imposed. While intended to target the Taliban leadership, the Afghan people have borne the brunt of these decisions. The banking system is crippled, cash is scarce, and the formal economy has effectively collapsed.
The consequences are felt in every single household. This has led to mass unemployment and rampant inflation. People who had stable, middle-class jobs just a few years ago are now selling their household belongings on the street or even resorting to begging just to feed their families.
The price of basic goods like flour and cooking oil has skyrocketed, putting them out of reach for millions. It's a vicious cycle. The economic crisis fuels the humanitarian crisis, and the restrictions, especially on women working, further cripple the economy by removing a huge portion of the workforce and potential consumers.
So when you put all these pieces together, the rights abuses, the gender oppression, the economic freefall, you get one of the worst and most complex humanitarian crises in the world.
The scale is staggering. The UN estimates that more than 2/3 of the population, over 28 million people, are in urgent need of humanitarian assistance to survive, not to thrive, but just to survive. This includes millions of children on the brink of starvation, facing acute malnutrition.
The healthcare system, once heavily dependent on foreign aid, has all but collapsed. Hospitals lack basic supplies, equipment, and medicine. Trained medical staff, especially the female doctors and nurses who are crucial for treating women and children, are often unable to work due to the restrictions placed on them.
And despite the incredible, heroic efforts of aid organizations on the ground, the challenges are immense. They face bureaucratic hurdles, security risks, and the immense ethical dilemma of operating within a system that enforces such deeply discriminatory policies.
The story of Afghanistan right now is one of incredible suffering, but it is also one of immense resilience. Behind every statistic is a human being, a mother fighting for her daughter's future, a teacher running a secret school, a father sacrificing everything for a single meal for his family.
Their voices, their struggles, and their humanity must not be forgotten or ignored by the international community. We have a collective responsibility not to look away.
If this conversation has moved you, we urge you to learn more and to support reputable humanitarian organizations that are providing life-saving aid on the ground in Afghanistan.
And to help us continue to raise awareness on crucial issues like this, please like, share, and subscribe to People Deserve to Live. Thank you for listening.